Hey, what's up guys? Best in West here, and before we get to the video, I wanted to make a couple of announcements. Season 1 regionals for the Sylph League Arena have been announced. May 10th through the 26th, regionals are going to be held across the world, so I was able to make it into the global cutoff, and I will be participating in the regionals in San Francisco, being held at San Francisco State University. So if you're interested in participating in the same tournament as I am, feel free to go to sylph.gg and register for that tournament. I look forward to battling whoever does decide to join that tournament. And yeah, in other news, I am going to Pokemon Go Fest in Chicago, Illinois. It's going to be my first time in Chicago, and I'm also meeting up with some other prominent Pokemon Go PvP YouTubers, and I will be attending Go Fest on Friday. So if you wanted to meet me there, I'd be more than happy to meet you guys and discuss Pokemon Go PvP, Pokemon Go in general, or even just talk about whatever you guys want. But I wanted to get into this Kingdom Cup that I participated in Dublin. I did much better in this cup than the one in Mountain View. So I wanted to share this with you. Hopefully you can learn some things from it and carry on to either your regionals or your upcoming Nightmare Cup. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, for our first round, we are facing up against Doggy Ollie, a very familiar trainer. And this is when the top two trainers would face each other in the first round, but the Sylph Arena has since changed that. But we are going up against a Lucario, a Lapras, a Charizard, an Altaria, a Bastiodon, and a Lowland Marowak. A very similar lineup, similar team to mine. The only difference is I'm using a Blaziken, he's using a Charizard. So very similar teams with the different flex spot of Charizard and Blaziken. So what I decided to do is go with a very lineup that I feel I've had a lot of success with, and that lineup is Altaria, Lapras, and Lucario. I've had success using this lineup in my practice battles, and I just am familiar with it, so I go with it. Let's see how I do. Getting right into it, I lead off with Altaria, he leads off with Lucario, a great matchup for me. So I'm going to try to do as much damage as I can. Now I'm counting his counters, making sure that he has enough energy to use Shadow Ball. Now if he doesn't, then I don't block it. If he does, then I decide to not shield it because I was expecting a power-up punch. But he got the Shadow Ball off on me, that's still okay. This next move, I am going to let it go as well because I didn't want to block something that was going to kill me anyways. So I send out my Lucario and knock out his Lucario. So that was bad guessing on my part. He sends out his own Altaria, and I go ahead and try to bait this shield. See what I do, what happens. I end up baiting it, but at this point he's going to knock me out with this Sky Attack if I don't block it, so I have to use this shield. I'm trying to get to that Shadow Ball, and unfortunately for me, I couldn't get it off, even though it was at full energy. So he's going to get this Sky Attack off. I decide to shield this because at this point Lapras is my last Pokemon. I need to protect it at all costs. I go ahead and use the Surf. I feel like I'm really close to knocking out Altaria anyways, so Ice Beam would not have made as much sense. So he gets a Sky Attack off, and at this point, my Lapras is pretty much dead unless this is a Lowland Marowak, and it's not. It's a Lapras, and Surf is not going to do anything to it. Doggy Ollie is going to take this down right after he gets Surf off. So pretty much that lead matchup of Altaria versus Lucario really shifted the tides of battle. But GG, Doggy Ollie 1, Best in West 0. Going into this second battle, I pretty much decide to try that lineup again. I feel like winning that first matchup, that Altaria versus Lucario, was a big turnaround, and I just played that very poorly. So I decided to just run it back and not make the same mistake. Let's see how I do. Leading off with Altaria, he leads off with, again, Lucario. So now I just can't make the same mistake. So he's going to charge up to Shadow Ball, but I get my Sky Attack off first. He's going to block that. Now, this is potentially a Shadow Ball, but it's a Power-Up Punch. So this time he baited me. But I am going to go ahead and shield this again because I need to win this matchup. So I go ahead and Dragon Breath down his Lucario, and we're waiting for his second Pokemon. He sends out his own Altaria, and I get a Dragon Pulse off. Now, I think he was expecting a Sky Attack because he let that go. And his Altaria is down to very little health. He has one shield left, but his Altaria is pretty much done. I go ahead and send out my Lapras. He's going to get a Sky Attack off. I have no more shields, so that was a good save. If I sent out Lucario, it would have gone very low. So he's going to send out his own Lapras. I send out Lucario. This is a favorable matchup for me, and I get this Power-Up Punch off. He should be shielding this, which he does, but Lucario doesn't really need shields to beat Lapras. That Power-Up Punch will do a good amount of powering up my Lucario, and those counters, I mean, will do a decent amount of damage to Lapras. He's going to get the Surf off, but this mirror match is won by me because I have the HP advantage. So after this Surf, I should take him down. So at this point, it's Doggy Ollie 1, Best in West 1. Alright, going into the third battle of this matchup against Doggy Ollie, I decide to use the double fighter technique. So you may have seen it in your own tournament, but this technique relies on two fighters. So Doggy Ollie is probably going to use one Lucario counter so that he has a more balanced team. So by bringing in two fighters, I give myself an extra fighter. These fighters do a lot of damage to the majority of the field, so by having an extra fighter, it's pretty much I'm sacrificing one to take out an Altaria, and my other fighter can sweep the rest of his team. But that's the idea of it. That's all theory. Let's see if I can execute it. Alright, so I am going to lead off with Bastiodon. He leads off with Altaria, so this is a great lead for us. He's going to have to switch right away into a Lucario, and I'm going to switch into Blaziken. So I got the switch advantage, took advantage of it, bring in my Blaziken to counter his Lucario. I go ahead and let that Power-Up Punch go, and it's a simultaneous KO. So now we're kind of just playing chicken. Who is going to bring out their Pokemon first? I go ahead and bring out Lucario, and this is great for me. Unfortunately, I do have this switch glitch, and I can't use a charge move, and I don't. Knock out his Bastiodon. He sends out Altaria. I go ahead, again, I'm still switch glitched. He uses Sky Attack. I block this because I have a ton of energy stored up. I go ahead and use this Shadow Ball, and he blocks it. I almost have enough for a second Shadow Ball right here. Now he should block, he lets that one go. I don't know why he let that go, but he did. And I bring out Bastiodon, and this is all but over. I go ahead and shield this up, and I'm just going to fast attack him down, and that's GG. Alright, for this second round of this tournament, I'm facing off against Oski the Cowbear. Now, what you will notice about his lineup is that he has a Bronzong. The Bronzong makes things kind of awkward, and that's why I somewhat have some problems with it. But Alolan Marowak deals with it very well, and Bastiodon can kind of counter it as well. It will probably win a matchup against Altaria, and Lucario can take it out, but you have to shield. It's kind of just makes things very awkward. So what I end up doing is I lead off with Bastiodon, and I bring in my Alolan Marowak to counter his Lucario, and also deal with the Bronzong, and can kind of deal with his Marowak as well, and also deal damage against Bastiodon. So Alolan Marowak's a staple. I need it to perform well against Oski. And I bring in my Lucario. So Bastiodon, Alolan Marowak, and Lucario is what I'm going with in this first battle. Let's see how I do. Alright, let's get right into this battle. So I lead off with Bastiodon, he leads off with Altaria. Perfect matchup for me. I'm going to get one Smackdown off, and he's going to switch into Bronzong. So I realize this is a decent matchup, but I like my Alolan Marowak against Bronzong much more. Bronzong has Steel-type moves, which don't deal very effective damage to fire. So that's why Heavy Slam is not very effective against Alolan Marowak. I'm going to use this Bone Club to try to bait out a shield. And it worked that time. So now I'm going to try to get this Shadow Ball off. And I get the Shadow Ball off, and he is going to eat it. So Bronzong is down. I am up 3-2, and burned one of his shields. He brings in Altaria to take down my Alolan Marowak. I'm going to go ahead and bring out Bastiodon to counter his Altaria. And he's going to switch out into Alolan Marowak. I switch out into Lucario because I did not know what he was bringing out. If it was Lucario, I wanted to be able to switch with trade with this, and this is pretty much what I do right here. I'm going to get a Shadow Ball off, and he's definitely going to block that, and then he's going to get another charge move off right here. Knock out my Lucario. I have my Bastiodon, he has no more shields, so I'm going to get this Stone Edge off. With this Stone Edge, it'll knock out his Alolan Marowak, and Bastiodon versus Altaria, I will take this matchup any and every day. And this is just going to take a little bit. Actually, no, he has no more shields. I have a Stone Edge. Yeah, so maybe 2-3 more Smackdowns, and that's it. Alright, going into the second battle against Oski the Cowbear, I decided not to switch anything up. I won that last battle pretty handily, so I felt like I should just go with what works, right? Just stay with the same lineup, go with the same lead, and see how he makes his adjustments, because I won that one, so he should make his adjustments, and I felt like my team composition is pretty good against his team. So yeah, let's see how I do. Alright, getting right into this next battle against Oski the Cowbear. I lead off with Bastiodon. He makes his adjustment, leads off with Lucario. I'm going to switch right away into Alolan Marowak. I'm going to get 1 hex off, 2 hexes off, 3 hexes off, 4 hexes off, and I'm going to use this Bone Club. He's going to let it go, expecting it was knowing that it was a Bone Club. I'm going to shield this Shadow Ball. Even if it was a Bone Club, like, I didn't want to risk it. I'm going to get another Bone Club off. Now, I think he shields it. Yes, he does. Because now, at this point, another Bone Club will knock him out. And that's it. Knocks out his Alolan Marowak. He sends out his Altaria. I'm going to try to get this Shadow Ball off, and I do. This Shadow Ball, if he doesn't block it, will deal a lot of damage, and that's just bonus damage at this point. I send my Bastiodon back out, get a few Smackdowns in. He sends out his Lucario. I send out mine. At this point, what I want to do is get rid of his Lucario. His Lucario will do a lot of damage to me, and I know Bastiodon can take care of Altaria very easily, so I'm just trying to make sure I knock out that Lucario. He sends out his Altaria, knocks out my Lucario, but I have Bastiodon. It is a beast, and it can knock out this Altaria with no charge moves and no shields. So pretty much this is the perfect ending. So right here, knock him out, GG, and that's the round. Getting into this third round against Papa E11. And what's notable again is that he has a Bronzong. So this is I think this is the same lineup, that same team that Oski was running. So I believe I run the same team, same lineup. So yeah, let's see how I do. Alright, getting right into the battle against Papa E11. I lead off with my Bastiodon. He leads off with Altaria. Good matchup for me. He's going to switch into Bronzong, and I'm going to switch into a Lowland Marowak. So this is kind of repeat against Oski, but instead of going for my Bone Club, I go for a Shadow Ball. Heavy Slam, I'm not going to block it, not very effective damage. I go for the Shadow Ball, and I don't think this is a good idea because he blocks it. And I'm going to try to get this Bone Club off. And I do. It's going to do a lot of good damage against his Bronzong, but it doesn't knock him out. So if I had gone for the Bone Club first and gone for a second Bone Club, it might have done more damage. I'm not exactly sure, but he knocks out my Lowland Marowak. And now I'm waiting for the switch clock to run down. I bring in my Lucario, knock out his Bronzong, build up some energy, and he's going to bring out his Altaria. Now I get a couple hits in and switch into my Bastiodon, and I switch just at the right moment because he uses Sky Attack and I eat that. Now he's going to switch into his own Lucario. I'm going to get this Flamethrower off. If he does not block this Flamethrower, it will deal huge damage to it. So he does that, and my Bastiodon is just going to go down to his counters. I bring in my own Lucario. He uses this power-up punch right away. I have 2 shields, so I go ahead and use it. I use my own power-up punch and knock him out. He has no more shields, so it's perfect. Now he sends out Altaria. I go ahead and get this Shadow Ball off, and this is perfect. Pretty much knocks him out, and I knock him out with a counter. So GG. First battle. Alright, for this second battle, I decided to go with the same lineup. I've had success with it so far, so why stop, right? He has the same team, and I don't think I would do anything different. So let's see what happens. Going straight into this battle, I lead off with Bastiodon. He leads off with Lapras. Now, this is a pretty good matchup for me, I think. It's not a super good matchup, but a decent one. So I'm trying to switch right here, and I failed. So I'm going to go ahead and eat this Surf and switch right here. I go ahead and switch into Lucario, get a couple of counters off. He's going to get a Surf off. I'm going to block this. I want to preserve my Lucario. He switches into Altaria. I get this Shadow Ball off. He decides to shield this. And I'm going to try to get another Shadow Ball off. No, I'm just going to let Lucario faint right here. I need to preserve that shield. I send out Bastiodon, and I kind of hit Stone Edge. I don't want to kill him. I want to get a few more hits in, charge up that energy for when his Lucario comes in. He's going to get a charge move off right here, and I'm going to fast attack it so I have a charge move ready for whatever he sends out. He sends out Lucario. Perfect. I get this Flamethrower off. He blocks it. Now he's out of shields. I have 1 shield. I have Marowak. I have to make sure I don't block his Shadow Balls. So he sends out Lapras. I'm going to use this Bone Club. Knock out his Lapras. He has no more shields, remember. He's gonna use this move. I'm gonna block it, whatever it is, power up punch. Now I am going to be able to get this Shadow Ball off, and he can't block it. Knocks him out. GG. So with that last battle, I wanted to highlight this right here. What I did was I used Stone Edge, but I didn't use it to its max power because I wanted to do big damage to Altaria, but at the same time I didn't want to, knock it out because I needed to farm energy for the next Pokemon, whether it be, I knew it was either going to be Lapras or Lucario. I felt like it was going to be Lucario, and I used this flamethrower right away. If I used Stone Edge all the way, it would have knocked out his Altaria, and it would have just been a bad situation. But I wanted to highlight that and hope that you might be able to take away that technique and be able to use it in a future matchup somewhere. Getting into this 4th round against Power of a Point, he is undefeated, I am undefeated, and yeah, pretty much whoever wins this is probably gonna head into this 5th round for the championship, right? But Power of a Point versus me, he has a team very similar to mine. He has Steelix as his tank instead of my Bastiodon, and other than that, we have the same team. So what I do is I go ahead and use a team composition that I've found success with, which is the Altaria, Lapras, Lucario lineup. So I lead off with Altaria and switch into Lapras if I need to, and I have Lucario just because it can sweep teams. So let's see how I do. Getting right into this first battle against Power of a Point, I lead off with Altaria, he leads off with the Altaria. So the mirror match, kind of boring, you already know how this works. We're gonna sky attack each other. He has priority, so I go ahead and shield this up. I go ahead and sky attack right here. He goes ahead and shields it up as well. I go ahead and switch into Lapras. He switches into Lucario. I guess Surf and force him to shield or take big damage. He ends up just taking the big damage. Right here, I decide not to block. I felt like I am better off just saving that shield for my Altaria or my Lucario. I go ahead and send my Altaria back out, get a little bit of energy. He sends out Steelix. I'm going to get this Sky Attack off. Even though it's not very effective damage, it still does a good chunk, I think. And my Dragon Breath will do a lot of damage as well. But he goes ahead and gets this Crunch off. I decide not to shield it. My Altaria was going to fall anyways, and I was switch locked. I send out my Lucario, get some energy. He sends out his Altaria. I go ahead and use this Power Up Punch. His Altaria is almost dead, so I'm expecting him to let it go, but he decides to shield it because he has that Sky Attack and gets it off. Now, what I do is I go ahead and get another Power Up Punch off. That way my Lucario can deal more damage with those counters, and I knock it out. He's gonna have a Steelix, and I get one counter and knock him out as well. GG. Alright, so here is where it starts to tumble down, but I won that first battle. I'm feeling a little confident, so I decided to switch it up and try to take this in a very convincing manner. So I decided to go with the double fighting technique. So this is probably not the best idea because he has a Water Gun Lapras and a Lowland Marowak and an Altaria. So those are 3 Pokemon that can counter my Blaziken. And that's not a good idea to use this double fighting technique that I've used in the past. But I decided to do it anyways, and you'll see what happens. Getting into this battle, the second battle of this round, I lead off with Bastiodon, he leads off with Lucario. I have to get out of there. I switch into Blaziken. I get a few counters off. He's gonna get a Power Up Punch off, and that's fine. We simultaneous KO and switch and the switch counter. I send out my Lucario, he sends out Altaria, so this is a bad matchup. This is what I didn't want, but I'm stuck in this one right now. And so I get Power Up Punch off. He did not block that. So I go ahead and shield this Sky Attack. And at this point, I need to get this Shadow Ball off, but I wanted to bait this shield, and I did. So even if I tried to switch right there, you saw it, but I couldn't. So I needed to save my Lucario. And I switch into my Bastiodon, and he's going to switch into his Steelix. So Steelix will win this matchup hands down. I had a little bit of energy, but he's gonna get an earthquake off, and that's gonna do devastating damage to me. He's also going to, yeah, this earthquake's gonna devastate me. I'm near dead. I can't get this flamethrower off. No, I do get this flamethrower off. He's probably just gonna tank it though. Yep, he tanks it. I send out my Lucario. He's gonna get a crunch off, and that's all she wrote. GG. Oh man, that last battle was tough, but I learned my lesson. I should just stick with what worked in the first battle. So back to the Altaria, Lapras, Lucario lineup, and I'm gonna stick with it. It worked the first battle, so I should just go with it, right? You'll see what happens. Getting right into this battle, I lead off with Altaria. He leads off with Altaria. I have charge move priority, so this is great. I should be able to knock him out if he doesn't double shield. He switches right before I get my Sky Attack off, and he eats that Sky Attack. I switch into my Lapras, so this is a positive matchup for me, but I lost all of that built up energy on Sky Attack. He gets this crunch off. I'm gonna go ahead and use Surf, and he's gonna eat that. So now I'm up one Pokemon, but he sends out Lucario. I am switch locked at this point. He gets up this power up punch. I decide to shield it because I have this Surf. I wanted to get this Surf off, either put shield pressure or deal heavy damage. He decides to block that. He knocks out my Lapras. At this time, I'm waiting out the switch timer. I send out Altaria. He's gonna get this charge move off. I know he has no Altaria left, so I decide not to block that because all I have left is a Lucario. He gets this charge move off. I can't block this. I can't block this. So I send out my Lucario. Look at how much damage that one counter did. Pretty much half my health. I go ahead and shield this up. Sky Attack. I get this power up punch off, but he has shields and he blocks that. He's gonna take this down. Man, that was a great move by him. Great move. Alright, so I wanted to highlight this amazing move by him. I get this Sky Attack off, and he ducks this Sky Attack. So he banked all that energy and brought in Steelix to absorb that Sky Attack. Man, I feel like that's where he won the battle. I may have made a mistake later on, but man, that was an amazing move on his part, and congratulations, he deserved that win. He got me with something that I've used in the past, and it hurts, man. It hurts. Man, like I said, gotta move on from that last battle. So going into this 5th round, Power of a Point ended up going into the championship round, and I'm here just trying to make sure I can secure this 2nd place. And I'm going up against Poop Soup. Now, I know that his Sylph Arena ID says Beefy Doctor, but this is the correct matchup. He has Altaria, Lapras, Blaziken, Charizard, Bastiodon, and Lucario. So 2 fighters, 2 fire, and Ball Core. So his 2 flex spots are Blaziken and Charizard, and I thought that was an interesting choice. What I decided to do was go with a double fighting technique because I wanted to bring Bastiodon in because that Charizard does a lot of damage. In hindsight, Charizard is pretty squishy, and most of my Pokemon can actually take out Charizard if it doesn't have shields. So I went with Bastiodon, Lucario, and Blaziken. Let's see how I did. Alright, and I lead this battle off with Bastiodon. He leads off with Lapras. This is a kind of good matchup for me, but I kind of want to keep Bastiodon for an Altaria. So I go ahead and try to switch right here. He gets a Surf off. I decide not to block this. And I switch into Lucario. And and I'm doing super effective damage, but he switches into Blaziken. He brought a Blaziken in. I get this power up punch off. He decides to block that, and he knocks out my Lucario. Now he has his own Blaziken. I'm going to bring in my Blaziken, and he's going to get this Sky Attack off. This Brave Bird off, and I have to block it if I want to keep my own Blaziken. So my Blaziken, his Blaziken goes down. I have a Blaziken. He's switching into Altaria. I'm going to get this Brave Bird off before he gets a Sky Attack off, and he's going to go ahead and eat that. Now I'm going to switch into my Bastiodon because I did not want to eat a Sky Attack on my Blaziken. I'm going to go ahead and use Stone Edge and not do any damage to him. I think he shielded that, so that's fine. He gets a Surf off. I'm going to try to get some more Smackdowns in, but watch this. He gets another Surf off, and this is going to knock out my Bastiodon. I'm going to go ahead and send out my Blaziken and get one hit in, but he has an Altaria, and that's going to knock out my Blaziken. GG. He got me. So what do? I have to make my adjustments, right? So the other lineup that I really like using is my Altaria, Lapras, and Lucario lineup. So I go ahead and try that one. It's worked for me in this tournament so far, and I feel like the double fighting and this lineup have both done really well for me, so I should just give it a go, right? Let's see how I do. Going into this second battle against Beefy Doctor, I lead off with Altaria, he leads off with Lapras. Now if I count the moves correctly and don't get Ice Beamed in the face, I should be able to win this matchup. So I'm going to go ahead and get this Sky Attack off. He decides to block it. Now I counted it. He has enough energy to get an Ice Beam off, and that's exactly what he does. He ends up switching into his own Altaria. I get a Sky Attack off, and I'm going to switch into my own Lapras. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to knock him out with Surf and Water Guns because he took a whole Sky Attack already. So this should be enough to either weaken him to the point where my Lapras can take him down, or he ended up blocking. He ended up just eating it and preserving that shield. He's going to send out Blaziken. I have enough to get a Surf off, and he's going to block that one. He's going to knock out my Lapras with a couple more counters, and now I think I bring out my own Altaria. I'm just waiting for that switch counter to wear off. I send out my own Altaria. He switches into Lapras. I switch into Lucario because I know I don't want Lucario versus Blaziken. I go ahead and eat this Surf because I want to save that shield for my Altaria, because I know Altaria can take both Lapras and Blaziken. So I knock out his Lapras. He's going to get a counter and finish off my Lucario. I send out my Altaria. He has a charge move now. Brave Bird, I block it. I go ahead and get this Sky Attack off, and this should knock out his Blaziken. GG, second battle. Getting into this last battle, what do I end up doing? I end up going with that same lineup that I was just using. Lead off with Altaria, Lapras, and Lucario. Again, it's worked. Why fix something that's not broken, right? So I go ahead and just keep on going with this lineup. Getting into the battle, I lead off with Altaria. He leads off with Bastiodon. Bad matchup for me. So I'm going to get a couple Dragon Breaths in and switch into Lapras. He switches. He didn't have to, but he switched into Altaria. I had a little bit of energy, so I go ahead and try to bait a shield right here. I had enough energy. He ends up taking the bait, blocking that. I'm going to eat this Sky Attack, and I'm going to try to get an Ice Beam. I think I can get an Ice Beam off because I had that energy stored up. Go ahead and get this Ice Beam off. He decides to block that. Now he has no shields. I have 2 shields still. I'm going to go and bring out my Altaria, I believe. I'm waiting for the switch clock. I bring out my Altaria. He has no more shields. I have 2 shields. I'm gonna block this. I know he probably has a fighter in the back, and so I'm gonna go ahead and get this sky attack off. And then at this point, my switch clock has replenished. He's gonna send out Bastiodon. I'm gonna send out Lucario. I'm gonna get a couple counters in, but he's gonna switch into Blaziken, which is a fighter. That's correct. I'm gonna get this Shadow Ball off. He has no shields, right? So that knocked him out. Sends Bastiodon back out. Has a flamethrower, but I have a shield. Block that, and I am going to be able to knock out his Bastiodon with this power up punch. GG. GG. After it was all said and done, power of a point, the only person to beat me in the tournament ended up winning the whole thing. I ended up getting 2nd place, and that's definitely not a bad finish, right? Like 2nd place out of I think 20 people is definitely not a bad position to be in, especially since I had to play both the highest ranked player and I think the 2nd highest ranked player besides me. But congratulations, power of a point, and thank you, Bay Area Pogo Raids. And yeah, that was a great tournament, and I look forward to the next one, which is going to be regionals. Regionals for me is this next Saturday. So again, if you're interested in joining, go ahead and go to sylph.gg and join the San Francisco Bay Area regionals. I've been practicing. I've also kind of been practicing Nightmare. I'm going to focus on that after regionals finishes. So far we have about 50 something participants in that tournament, and I'm looking forward to testing my skills against the best of the best in my area. But that's pretty much it. If you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button, and also click that like button. It helps me out a lot. It makes my page more visible, my videos more visible. That's pretty much it for this video. Until next time, guys, this is Best in West. I'll catch you guys later.